Right? So the Rebbe is saying, this we're learning now, Dvar Malchut, the Dvar Malchut of the Rebbe. It's a speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1991, right at the end of 1991, like now. And the Rebbe is talking about how Jewish people have to be assertive now, brave, courageous, strong, even chutzpahdik. You have to be pleasant. You have to be appreciative of the good things of the other people, and etc. Don't disqualify other people totally, but you have to be assertive. And that, where do we learn that from? From Yehuda in this week's Torah portion, that Yehuda, despite the fact that he was a virtual nobody and he had no power whatsoever, and he was in a strange land, he wasn't in his homeland, the Holy Land, he was in Egypt, and he was standing there helpless in front of the viceroy of Egypt, who he didn't know was his brother, but was standing in front of Yosef, who Yosef seemed to be very, not positive toward him. And Yosef took Yehuda's brother and said, you stole my cup, my magic cup, putting him in jail. That's it. So Yehuda was helpless. And the whole entire army of Egypt and the leader of Egypt were all against him. And nevertheless, he came with assertiveness, and he said, I hope I don't make you mad, but I want you to understand what's going on over here. Give me my brother back. Give me my brother back. And if you don't give me my brother back, as my father's going to be, he's going to be heartbroken, and you can't do this. So he said, where did he get this power? Where did he get the courage to be so assertive against the whole world? So he said, he's a Jew. The Jewish people are connected to God. God is the creator of the world. God made the world in such a way that it would appear to oppose us, but in the end, the world can't really oppose us. And we have to always remember that. We have to be ready for the world to participate with us. We have to be ready. And if we treat the world as though we're number two and we have to be groveling and humble and this, then it's not going to work. I'll give you a simple example. I mean, this was the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, in a nutshell, right? Power of the Torah, power of assertiveness in the face of the whole world. The Rebbe once said, and of course, always Israel was always, kowtowing it to America. And the few times that they didn't, they were tremendously successful. For instance, when Begin blew up the atomic reactor in Iraq, this was against the will of America. When Israel was totally, ignored by everyone before the 6-Day War in Israel, they made a preemptive, you want to call it, attack, and they won. Whenever Israel didn't listen to what the Goyim said, then they were successful. Now it's a terrible tragedy that's happening now. I mean, I hope that this, America is trying to pressure us to give Gaza back to the Arabs and let things, let bygones be bygones, and the whole world is pressuring us. And the Rebbe just said over and over, do something to the government of Israel. You've tried everything and it doesn't work. You're relying totally on the miracles of God. Do something that you've never done before. Be strong. For the first time in history, be strong. You saw that the few times that you were strong, that it worked. But it was only for a short amount of time. Right? After they won the 6-Day War, they gave everything back. And Begin did bomb the thing afterwards. He gave back all the Sinai, this. But be strong. Where are we going to get the strength to stand against the whole world? That's what Yehuda did. Yehuda gave it to us. And later on, we say the same thing with Mordechai. That's the whole story of Purim. Mordechai, everyone was bowing down to Haman. Mordechai said, no way. I'm not going to move. Never. I'm never going to bow down to Haman. Never going to do it. And the whole world can be against me. I don't care. They can kill me, whatever they want to, whatever, but I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. Someone has to do the truth. Someone has to say the truth. Someone has to be strong. Someone has to be courageous and not be affected by the falseness and the intimidation of the world. Someone has to do it. The Rebbe is saying, who is that someone? Each one of us, me and you, every single Jew. And that's the only way to, and everybody's the world will threaten us and they'll do all sorts of things. But in the end, it's not going to work because the Jewish people are not working. They're not existing because of nature. They're existing above nature. It doesn't mean we shouldn't have an army. You have to do according to the Torah. You have to have an army, and the army has to attack, but it has to attack properly. Right? Like the Rebbe said, a situation like this, don't send in soldiers. You have to bomb them from the air, totally carpet bomb the whole entire place. And as soon as the enemy sees you're really serious, then it could be you won't even have to fire one shot. But you have to be strong. If you show them that you're weak, then they'll accept any little tiny hole in your armor, as that's where they'll get it. We're Jews. In the end, the God is going to do the whole business. But the question is are we going to accept it? Right? Are we going to accept it? Here, we won the 6-day war, big miracles, and we gave everything back. Are we going to accept God's? We have to be strong in order to let God do what he's. Okay. So according to this, now we can understand that that's the teaching that we're going to learn from Yigash of Yehuda. And regarding to our generation, especially now, we're standing immediately before the future redemption. Now, the Rebbe said this in 1991, which is 33 years ago. Anyway, so the Rebbe is saying this back then, and back then, this was the Iron Curtain just fell, and Saddam Hussein had been destroyed, and the Jews basically were free. They were basically free. There was no country in the world where a Jew couldn't learn Torah, and there was no more Holocaust, there was no more anything. Now we can understand what we have to do. But we have to do something on our own. We have to be, what are we supposed to do? Right? God is doing all these big miracles for us. The Iron Curtain fell. You know what that means? All of a sudden, Jews that couldn't get out. 70 years, you couldn't get out of Russia. It was hard to even telephone out. Now anyone could go out. You can go out, come back in, no problem. Right? So Saddam Hussein, he shot all these huge rockets, missiles into Israel. Nothing happened. Didn't work, and he was destroyed. He was knocked out. So, okay, now you're free. Now what are you going to do? So the Rebbe says you have to be strong. Notwithstanding the power, the courage of Yehuda in the time of Yehuda, in his time, Yehuda. So let me make it like this. That we just learned about that Yehuda was willing to stand against the whole Egyptian government, and Mordechai in his time. That Mordechai, the same thing, stood against the Greek whatever government that was Achashverosh over there of the tzaddikim and the Jews in all of the generations. There were in every generations Hagbal limitations from outside. Says the Rebbe, up to 1991, there always were limitations, whether because of the non-Jews, the world, on the Jewish people. Shalom Tamid, that they didn't allow the Jews to act in a way, call it tokef, like they wanted to. Right? We just saw, what was it, 1990, 50 years before that, there was the Holocaust in Germany, and there was all this revealed anti-Semitism, terrible. Right? Until now, now it's popping up again. But in the time that the Rebbe said, which is not the case in our generation, said the Rebbe, now in 1991, we can see clearly that there's no confusion at all about Judaism. And the world, the non-Jews are allowing the Jews to do whatever they want to. Therefore, the only thing depends on the Jews. The Jews should, the Jews should just be strong. Just like Shemit Kayem, Bapoel, like it was in many places, you should be open. Just by the way, when Saddam Hussein was defeated, so the Palestinians, so-called Palestinians, there really is no such thing as Palestinians, but the Israelis called them Palestinians. They created this monster called Palestinian. The Palestinians, they all were in favor of Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was bombing Israel. That's a good thing. But Saddam Hussein was also bombing other places. He bombed Kuwait. He bombed. The guy was a fool. He bombed places. He killed indiscriminately. So the whole world came out against him. It came out against Saddam Hussein. Now, when that happened, so there was no more Palestinian problem. Arafat, may his name be blotted out forever. He had to run away. He hid away in Liberia or someplace. And that was it. There was no more Palestinian movement. The whole thing was finished. It was gone. There were no problems, right? Gaza was ours. Everything was ours. There was no problem, right? And all of a sudden stood up and the Rebbe said, all we have to do, just be strong, be assertive. And what happened? Stood up the Israeli government and they said, we'll give you, we took Arafat back, and they made him in a government, and they gave him arms. They gave him, just incredible. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse until finally they gave him an autonomy, and then they gave him the whole land. And now we have the problem we've got now. We can't, no, it's theirs now. But we made the problem for ourselves. Says the Rebbe, you should have never, your thing is you have to be strong. You have to be strong. What do you have to be strong? A Jew is supposed to be strong. The whole world is against you. It shows that you're important. Be strong. Be like Mordechai. Be like Yehuda. In Medina Zoo, we're talking about that there's no restrictions now on Judaism, whether we're talking about in America, which is always called the Malchut of Chesed, it's called the kingdom of kindness, that are allowing the Jews to do whatever they want to. Why? Because according to what their decision and their own will, they made, for instance, Education Day was the Rebbe's birthday. They made it in America. Similarly, in many, many countries in the world, in the last years, we see how it is that in those countries that were before had a lot of limitations, that all these limitations were negated. And not only that, that in these countries are not making restrictions on the Jews, but even more, these governments of the non-Jews are actually helping the Jews. They're helping to build synagogues. They're helping to make support places of learning. And in addition to that, that the Jewish people are able to act in a way that the Torah and commandments in their four amas, it's called the four amas, in your own personal life, we can see also that B'Shanim Achronos, the last years, is it more and more easy to take possession of every place where they are in the world. Chabad houses all over the place, since that the world, not just the Jewish people, but even the non-Jews have become a vessel to receive ideas of Judaism, Torah, commandments. And regarding the non-Jews, the 7 Noahide commandments. But until Kafishav Dibru, like we said before many, many times, that according to what the previous Rebbe said, that we've already finished all of the main work we have to do in order to bring the Geula, and now all we have to do is just make it happen in the physical world. Be ready for the actual redemption in a revealed way. Since that, notwithstanding the Tokif, Ha'avoda, the power of the Jewish people in Gullus, that the Jewish people, through this terrible 2,000 years of exile, we have been defying all odds and doing Torah and commandments, even according to how the Jews are found in with the Matzav Shel Geula Ruchnis, a spiritual redemption. Hariyadayan ein zo shlema shel Geula b'pashtus. Even though the Jews we're learning Chasidus, and we have the synagogues, and we have places of learning, and we have Chabad houses, but nevertheless, it has to be revealed physically in the physical world. The main thing is in the physical world. I just read a mimer about the Rebbe, anyway, he said that, listen, God knows everything, and everything by God is already decided before. By God, there's no such thing as past, present, and future. So by God knew Abraham. It's written in the Torah. The Torah was before the world, that Abraham was going to take his son and sacrifice him, and that all the things that were going to happen, and that the Jewish people were going to go out of Egypt, and it was all written. So what's the big novelty? It says in his mimer that everything was already set spiritually from heaven, and God knew everything, but for it actually to happen is a whole novelty. For it to actually happen in the physical world, that Jews would actually make this decision, even though God knew it was going to be made. Nevertheless, to have it made is a whole new level, Something like we said in the mimer we just finished, that this hidden deep love is only revealed in this physical world. Nowadays, the physical world is godliness is concealed. But when we see what happened when we did a commandment, what really was accomplished when we were defiant of the negativity of this world, the amazing joy that God gets, what this means, God gets only from this physical world, then we'll realize how important it is to actually make decisions, make it happen. The Moshiach is here, the godliness is here, but it has to actually be revealed in the world. So until that happens, we have all of the apparent signs of exile. That we are, so to speak, exiled from the table of our Father. Namely, that the Jewish people, and the Jewish people, we are now not just like we learned in Likuti Torah, the Torah Or, that we are only engaged to God. We can even say that the Jewish people are like what is it called? A widow, aguna. A widow is not an aguna. It's not a aguna. Aguna is called a live widow. What does it mean, a live widow? Her husband is still alive somewhere, or at least there's a very strong reason to suppose he's still alive, but nobody knows where he is. And as long as that happens, is that she can't get married to anybody else. Can't get married to anybody else, but she's also not married to him. So the woman is like permanently not married physically, but spiritually she is. I mean, she has a husband, and according to the law, the books, she's married, but her husband is not there. That's like an aguna. Shabala, that her husband, in this case, we're talking about the Jews, and God is the husband. Halach la-medina tayom, he went to some faraway place. La'achari ariusin, until after he got engaged, when the Jews got out of Egypt and they received the Torah, that was only engagement. That's what we just finished learning. So the Jewish people are like a person has a wedding, a big wedding, and the husband says, just 1 second, I just want to go to the car and get something, and he disappears. No one knows where he is. And the car is there, or he's there, and no one has any idea. There's no trace. The same thing is with the Jewish people. We were on Mount Sinai, and there was the temple and this, but still the Jews weren't really connected to God. So God said, just 1 second, I'll be right back. 2,000 years later, where is he? What's going on? And we are married to God. We got engaged, but the full actual consummation of the wedding is only going to come in this physical world, when it's actually physical revealed. Now, all we have to do is open up our eyes and see how it is that the whole entire world is demanding from every Jew, and that we should be ready for the future redemption. And we can say, Shazed, this gufa itself is the reason. The Tam L'Kach Sharoim, we can see now how the Jewish people are able, Lamod, are able to fulfill matters of Judaism in Kol HaTokef, with all of the courage and power, like being the owner of the house, even with the non-Jews. It only depends on the Jews themselves. Because we're immediately before the redemption, that in it will be revealed how it is that David Avdi Nasi Lem La'olam, that David, my servant, King David, will be the Mashiach. He will be the leader for them forever. The Yodua Goyim, and the non-Jews will know that I am God. And suddenly they'll realize that what they've been worshiping is, they missed the point. Therefore, this is our generation, that we are with a preparation that brings immediately to the future redemption. When we know that the whole thing just depends on our attitude. There are people that are afraid to say that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he's the Mashiach. There's people that are afraid to even talk about Mashiach. Right? There's people that they learned about it. There were people that, when the Rebbe was here, they were saying the Rebbe is the Mashiach, was the obvious thing in the world, And now they're afraid. They don't want to. Why be afraid? What happened? People don't want to talk about Mashiach. It's a thing that people don't want to hear about. And from that comes down, of course, it has to be done in a way that's normal, and it has to be done in a way that's friendly and acceptable. It can't be like done in an insane way. Everything should be done in a friendly, normal way. But nevertheless, we have to be brave. We have to be assertive. We have to say we're Jews. Like I was just saying, now they have this war, and there's no goal. Israel has no goal. We're winning the war. Israel is the only country in the world that they win all their wars, and then they themselves surrender because we don't know the goal. We don't want to win. If we win, we'll be all alone. What are we going to do? What's the United Nations going to say? Well, Joseph, we have to also add on that this is also hinted at by Yigash of Yehuda, that together with the siua, the help, and the power of the service of Yosef in our generation. Who is Yosef? The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Yosef Yitzchak. Yesh bo, there is in it also the power of a Yigash of Yehuda. There's also the power of Yehuda. Who's Yehuda? Moshiach. Mashiach that's supposed to come reveal himself immediately. David Avdi, like it says in the end of this week's Torah, Haftorah. David, my servant, he will be the leader for them forever. Shabo b'siua, that it comes with the help and the power of Yosef of our generation, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. So the Rebbe over here is hinting at that he's the Mashiach, and that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he's the bringer of the Mashiach. Some say he's Mashiach ben Yosef, because his name was Yosef. There's Periov is Galim, there's revealed from him, and the Mashiach is like he says, is Kamocha Kaparo. Paro, as we said before, means revelation, revealing godliness. Moving from this, it's understood that what can we learn in our generation? That by means of this, that we act, we conduct ourselves in a way of a Yigash of Yehuda, that we're not intimidated by the world, Shamarim be'inyan Yadut, that we show in matters of Judaism, Hatokef, the courage, the assertiveness, the Balabatiot, like the homeowner, the one who is the boss of the world, because I'm a Jew. Ubishvil Yisrael. And for the sake of the Jews, the whole world is being created. The whole world is just being created that I should do good in the world and ignore the bad things. Harizeh, this itself will bring to David Avdi Nasi Lehem Lolam. This is what's going to bring that David Avdi will be a leader for them forever. That's the whole idea of a Yigash of Yehuda, that Yehuda approached Yosef, the tokef, the courage, the assertiveness, and the balabatiot, and what's the word for balabais in him? That you're the boss. Oh, like the boss of the Jewish people are the boss of the world. But Dorenu and our generation, this is also stressed by Hey Tevis. Hey Tevis was the day when the books came back for the Lubavitcher Rebbe. This is a whole, we'll talk about that in a second. Kami Shabasa, okay. Hey Tevis. Yom Zeh, this is with the Pidyon Shavuim of the books and all of the books and the writings of our fathers. Okay, what happened on Hey Tevis? We talked about this a little bit, but just in a little way. A Jew is supposed to love God and fear God and have faith in God. Where do you get this love and fear and faith from? From books. You get it from books. You read in the books what you're supposed to do, what the previous generations, what they revealed, the great rabbis revealed. And these books, that's where we get all of our direction in Judaism, right? The big sin of Christianity is they try to destroy all these books. Don't listen to the rabbis are wrong. We got a new Bible, the books in Judaism, that's the essence of Judaism, the essence of reality. The Jewish people are the only ones that really know what God is and what God wants from the world, from the books. So the rabbis of Chabad, they received their love and fear and direction from the books. There was one person in the family of the Rebbe that decided he was going to steal all the books. There was a big library of Chabad, and he was going to steal the books that were owned previously by the previous Rebbe. And he took all the books and he said, I didn't steal them, they belong to me. I'm part of the family. I have as much right, if not more, than anybody else. And so there was a big trial and it ended up that all the books had to be returned, that the books were not property of any individual person. They were the property of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was himself was the property of all the Hasidim and all mankind, basically. So the books were basically the property of all of the Chabad movement, which the Chabad movement is basically the property of all mankind. We're here just to serve the world. The books were brought back. So that the fact that the books were brought back from captivity, and because the books are the source of love and fear and faith of God, so it means the love and fear and faith of God were revealed, that were brought back, even though there are certain books from the handwritten books from the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, which are still haven't been returned. I think those books that eventually were returned. But nevertheless, we can attach this to what the last days when we're talking about in Russia, that the Moscow just rescinded, it just negated, right? No, I'm sorry, not Moscow. I made a mistake. It was called Leningrad, Stalingrad, St. Petersburg, until she'eviru oto le'ir acheret, that they took away the capital city, which was Petersburg, and they moved it to Moscow. I have to look. I looked this up once. I'll be like it says, but the laws of Russia. Russia decided that no longer is Petersburg. Look this up, please, and see. But I think this is what happened. Petersburg, St. Petersburg was the big city of the kind of. Before that, it was called Leningrad, or what was it called? Another name. Leningrad. It had another name also. Anyway, they changed it to Petersburg, which that was sort of religious, which was better than Stalin or Stalingrad. No, Stalingrad was different. It was called Leningrad, I think. And then they changed it. In any case, that was the capital city, and they moved the capital city from there to Moscow. And so it just shows that this is weakening the power of Russia over the Jews. And now in Russia, it's almost a haven for Jews. In Russia, they help Chabad tremendously. The big, huge Chabad center, it's like 5-story, beautiful building in Moscow, is right across the street from the KGB offices. And they have KGB people standing guard. What can everybody do? Anyways, in order to redeem these books, get them back, the answer is very simple. By means of that every single person, man, woman, and children, will be something like that. What? That he'll bring books to his house, books, holy books, into your house, and add on to the books that are already there. And since that this is very easy to do, since that every week there's printed out new books, so those books that are being printed out, not reprinted, it's as though that they come out for the first time. And the main thing is that they're new. You should buy even new books that are coming out. And so this will be a very easy thing. Just buy books. But call a Hosef, and anyone who adds on more, it will be added on to him. Like it's known, the explanation of the previous Rebbe on this, that a book has to cost money. You shouldn't receive a book for free. And generally, things in Judaism should cost money. You shouldn't receive things for free, a mezuzah for free, or whatever. He said sometimes even books, he said you should print the price on the book itself. Because in this physical world, which the word olam means world, but it also means concealment, haridavar chashuv, an important, something that's important costs money. Right? In this world, if a thing, the more money a thing costs, the more valuable it is, right? You buy a car for $5,000, and you buy a car for $500,000. Oh, this is a valuable car. Therefore, money in this world talks. How do they say money talk? It says, Asya the mugin shava. It says a medicine that works for free, mugin shava, is worth nothing. So it says that they say that it's worth nothing. You have to pay. How much more so that it's necessary to Nogea the Divrei Torah, the words of Torah. The Torah brings healing to the world. So it should cost money. You should pay money for the books that you buy. Anyone who is careful about now, it is a very important thing, by the way, to buy books. I don't know, our dear listeners, there's a lot of people that look at these classes in YouTube. There's like 40, 50 people that watch each and every one of these classes. So I advise each one of you to buy genuine Jewish books in your house. And if it's possible for you to get rid of, how do you say, provocative books and books which do not encourage in any way modesty or family or, genuine values, especially now this filled with, murder and incest and all this crazy stuff. You should take those books out of your house if you can. But the main thing is here we're talking about doing good. You should bring genuine Torah books into your house. A Jewish sitter, you don't understand Hebrew, should be translated. Bring a Chumash, 5 books of Moses, genuine books in your house. Take out of your house, you have the Gospels or whatever these other books shouldn't be in your house. If you're a scholar or something, put them in a separate place or something. Leave them in it. But good books you should have in your house, genuine Jewish books, even if you don't understand them. You should have a book of the Tanya should be there. A book of Psalms should be in your house. The more genuine Jewish books that you have, the better. The kaimah, this should be as soon as you possibly can, go out and buy more books. And even more, you should, the sign up to receive new books that come out automatically. You should immediately buy as many books as possible. And similarly, it's proper that you should make use of this custom of the Jewish people to give printed books as gifts to others, like to small children, etc. You should give gifts instead of giving money. You give. May it be God's will that by means of this, that every Jewish person will increase his efforts in buying new books. This will bring even closer Vayigash Yehuda, namely that the redeeming the prisoners, and in our case, in our Torah portion, it was Benjamin, that all the books and the writings of our rabbis will go back to their true place. Beis Rabbeinu Shabbavel, 770, which is the gematria of Paratzta, and it's the numerical value of Beit Mashiach, the house of the Mashiach, which were written by our Rebbes. And immediately, this will bring with it the true redemption of the prisoners of all the sparks of holiness in the world, and also the prisoners that are now held by the Hamas here in Israel. And immediately, mamash, all the Jewish people, the children, the elders, the men, the boys, the girls, with their money, their silver and their gold with them, all the possessions, including all the books, it'll all fly to the land of Israel, all the synagogues in the world, to Jerusalem, the holy city, to the holy mountain, with the holy temple, in the Holy of Holies. And there is found the Eben Shtia, the foundation stone, without any change. Mizmad Brit Olam, it's the same from the time the world was created. All of this amazing, seemingly impossible changes for certain are going to happen, and it should happen immediately, mamish, and a big pleasant surprise for all of us. We've been talking about it. It has to happen. The situation is not good, my friends. Not good. I go to the hospital there every day, and not good. Okay, here we go. All right, so this.